What's something you have no way of proving but you believe to your core is true? I'll go first. Since humans don't inherently know what leaves are good to smoke and which ones are not, at one point in human history there had to have been a trial and error period, during which time some poor sap definitely wound up smoking poison oak. What's something you have no way of proving but you believe to your core is true?
In 2008, the European Physics Agency CERN first turned on the Large Hadron Collider, began setting records for the energy at which these particle collisions occurred, all the way up through the end of the first run. Somewhere around 2013 is when it finally ended, but in April of 2012 we saw the first collisions at the highest energy capacities, 8 TeV. And I am positive, even though I can't prove it, that these collisions caused a massive change in the fundamental probability of the universe, resulting in everything we've seen weird between 2012 and today. Probability is broken.
What's something you have no way of proving but you believe to your core is true?
No completed skeleton of a T-Rex has ever been found. However, the skulls are fully intact, and every culture has dragon stories.
What's something you have no way of proving but you believe to your core is true?
She ain't had no damn headache. She just didn't want to give me none. It's rude.
What's something you have no way of proving but you believe to your core is true?
Every single issue in the world boils down to straight men's desire to have sex.
What's something you have no way of proving but you believe to your core is true?
So this opinion has caused me arguments with my family. I've had friends now want to be friends with me anymore. I've had relationships end because of this. And I don't have enough time in these 60 seconds to really get into it. But I don't believe in karma. I don't believe in God. I don't believe in Satan. Good, evil. I don't believe in heaven or hell. I don't believe in any of that. And I feel like if you need the threat of hell or the reward of heaven to make you a good person, then you're not a good person.
What's something you have no way of proving but you believe to your core is true?
He did not do it to himself. It was the wife. We all know it was the wife. But it was also the drummer. I said what I said.
What's something you have no way of proving but you believe to your core is true?
Part 2 on the LHC. There were actually 2 full operational runs. The first is what I mentioned in the previous video, 2009 to 2013. The second ran from 2015 to 2018 with more than double the energy of the previous runs and continuing to add more and more up until it was shut down again in 2018 for more upgrades. Take a look at the events, especially around 30 days after major events at the LHC, such as the 20th of May 2015, 29th of June 2016, and the 24th of May 2017.
What's something you have no way of proving but you believe to your core is true?
Buckle up, boys and girls, we're going into encrypted shit. Okay, so almost every single Native American culture has stories regarding some sort of thing like a skinwalker, wendigo, goat man, fleshgate. And while they do have variations, for the most part they share a set of characteristics. They're apex predators, they can hunt almost silently, they can mimic human voices. They're generally solitary. And while they exist primarily in Native American legend, when the colonists got here from Europe, they started to report it too. And of course the United States has become much more urbanized, much more populated, and we had a tendency to hunt out any predators. There's no longer wolves, mountain lions in a lot of places. But in the national parks, people tend to go missing. And they go missing in circumstances that don't make sense. There's no predator tracks. They're found, if they're ever found, hundreds of miles away. Basically, it's impossible for them to get where they did. And I believe that it is the distinct, unique landscape of the United States that allowed something to survive.
What's something you have no way of proving but you believe to your core is true?
I believe that at some point in our evolution, and I believe we'll find it soon, or we have found it, we just don't realize what it is, that there was an apex predator that actively hunted us that looked eerily similar to us. I back this up by the uncanny valley effect, that the closer something comes to resembling human but not being quite human, deeply disturbs and frightens us. I believe at one time there was an apex predator that looked very much like us, and that some sort of evolutionarily evolved recognition of that triggers that fear in us. We probably hunted it back to extinction, or we just outbred it and it just went extinct. But yeah, I do believe that at one time that human beings were preyed upon, because it's generally the smartest beings are the ones that are in between prey and predator. And what really hunts us anymore?
What's something you have no way of proving but you believe to your core is true? I'll go first.
That not all humans have the same consciousness inside our vessels. Some seemingly are run by some kind of program, malevolent artificial intelligence maybe. They're referred to as non-player characters or empty vessels. And the rest of us have pure consciousness or a divine spark or whatever you want to call it. And there might be some shapeshifters.
What's something you have no way of proving but you believe to your core is true?
I have a pretty long list of these. God never existed, is dead, or has abandoned us. I am incapable of being loved, and everyone is too afraid that I will kill myself if they admit it, so they keep it to themselves. The reason the Army hands out Article 15s like candy is because they're broke and can't afford to pay their soldiers the full wage. Slavery was never abolished. It was just privatized and capitalized on by prison systems and the military. Being vegan has as many health benefits as being paleo. Life is a simulation and/or I am the only actual cognizant being in history and this is all a hallucination. Capital punishment is the only way to cure a pedophile or a rapist. It's better to abuse your kids than to spoil them growing up. The best form of psychological torture is ideohazards. Pharmaceuticals in their entirety are a scam. Public schools do more psychological damage than help you learn. You can exist on just bang energy.
What's something you have no way of proving but you believe to your core is true?
Alright, this one's gonna get weird. Buckle up. In 1917, Aleister Crowley opened up a portal to somewhere with the Moonchild ritual, looked inside and went, nope, and closed that bitch back up. Later in 1945, L. Ron Hubbard, and some other guy who invented rocket fuel or something, performed the same ritual, but couldn't get that portal closed. Whether or not this is because they were less competent than Aleister Crowley, or because we had split the atom and it fucked everything up, I don't know. After this, we started getting a lot of UFO sightings, and with UFO sightings comes Men in Black sightings. Now, Men in Black have technically existed since the plagues, but they dropped off during the Crusades, which means whatever they were doing with the Inquisition or witch hunts or whatever also killed off the Men in Black. So whatever these guys did, the Tulpas escaped through their portal, and now they're wandering the earth, feeding on people's fear. TLDR, Slender Man exists.
What's something you have no way of proving but you believe to your core is true? I'll go first.
There are many varieties of dinosaur bones all over the planet. We discover more all the time, we discover new species all the time. And every single culture on the planet has stories about dragons. Dragons are real.